Good morning. This is Norma Cowie once more here with Norma Talks. You know, very often when I'm considering what I'm going to speak about every Wednesday morning, and it seems to be, I start about Tuesday, middle of the afternoon thinking, well, where am I going to go with this? Because there's so many topics and there's so many different ways I can look at things. So many, this, that, the other I could do, could figure out, whatever. And often I get my inspiration of my topics via my clients because I'm explaining something to them, I'm doing certain clearings or whatever. And I think, oh, wow, that would be a good topic to talk about, or I haven't talked about that for quite a long time. And this is one of those days where I haven't talked about a topic for some time. At least I don't think I have. So I don't keep note. Maybe that's something that's a better idea to make what my titles are. But I just don't. I kind of go in the moment with these, which I hope that you appreciate or understand. Now, the interesting thing here the other day was I was working with a gal around affirmations, and one of the things that I found personally, and I have seen it in another person's book, one little sentence, but as usual, backing up what I had come to discover. Many people do a lot of affirmation work, but the real power of an affirmation is what thought comes up when you say it. That's what you need to get directing to. That's what you need to be aware of so you can transform that thought. The affirmation is there to affirm within yourself that this is your belief, this is your sense of being, this is the sense of the direction that you're at, and all that. So one of the elements, I know, and I'm going to tell you a story, and I think I've told this story before, but I began studying with a teacher, and in the process that we were learning, it was my first going inside process. And as I was going inside, one of the things we were taught to say was, I love me. Oh, I had difficulty with that. I did not love me at all. Oh, accepted me. And, I was kind of ho-hum about everything. So everything was being brought out of the depths of my subconscious one way or the other. But I got to the point where I could say, I love me very easily, no problem at all. I could say, I love me anytime, any day with great conviction. Then one day I had my hands on my knees. They were sitting on my knees. Normally, who knows where I put my hands, but they were not normally on my knees when I said this. So I had my hands on my knees and I said, I love me. And this little voice came right across very clear. No, you don't. And that's when I realized we held things in different parts of our body. We held things in all sorts of, especially joints, muscles, in the gut area. So what I began to do was work with myself and then also with clients. So when we said affirmations, what we would do is say the affirmation and listen for or watch for, but usually it's a listen, for the opposite. And that is the true power of affirming, that to be able to clear those thoughts that do not support what you are affirming for yourself or the world even. What do you really believe deep down? Now, that to understand that, you've got to understand how the subconscious works. Now, the subconscious remembers everything. And it has pockets. In fact, I had a client when I was explaining that they had, for this particular client, they had pockets of intellectual structures. And the intellect, I find very often, it likes to feel that it knows this is how the world is supposed to be. Well, as we know, the world doesn't always have the little box that we want to have or maintain or to keep. So it's like when we have these aspects of ourselves that deep in the subconscious that we may not be aware of, we're not sure what they are, we have no idea what they're going to play or say. What we're needing to do when we do an affirmation like I love me, or I love myself, even adding words differently. I love me, but then say I love myself. Myself has a different concept than me. And so where does that fit in? So it's like, how do we get to the depths of resistance? And when we wonder how come we can't maintain a loving sense of self, a knowing that this is okay. I love the world. Do we really love the whole world? Is there parts of it we don't like? You'll have an awareness. Maybe some people get a body reaction. Maybe some people will have, like I do, a lot of thoughts that'll come up. So this is one way of finding out really where you're blocking yourself. If you feel that you are blocked, if you feel that things are not running smoothly, or you're not handling what's going on in your life to the best advantage or the best effect, figure out an affirmation of what you want and say it. But don't just say it once and go, there I go. Place your hands on different parts of your body. Your head, chest, your stomach area, your thighs, your knees, your ankles, the bottoms of your feet. And when you say that affirmation, I love me, I trust me, I'm lovable. I even got down to I like myself, because there were times I found I didn't like myself very much over things. What I found was different parts of our body will hold on to different thought patternings. And they cannot not respond when you say something effectively. So the thought will come out. Now, to catch that thought, sometimes we are even clearer there. We just have the thought very low. They're like quiet, or I never had a quiet thought. I don't think it always comes in quite strong, but some people do. Some people, like, they're so good at repressing. And unfortunately, repression of feelings, because that's really what it's all about, ends up not working for you. So we can move from that, the affirmations, realizing the real power in the affirmation is to catch what does not support it. But where does that come from? It comes from the feelings that we've repressed. It comes from the parts of us where we just don't want to know about, or we don't want to look at, or we don't want to accept. You see, we all want to feel that we are in the light. I'm sorry, I had a little brain glitch, because I had a very interesting client this last week where it's really about having to accept that they're powerful and that they have knowingness within themselves, and to look to the outside for the power all the time, recognizing that we are connected all the time. We're breathing. There's energy coming into us from our auras, coming into us from just the universal force around us. And it's really important as to how to accept that power. You see, when we first begin on a journey, and in a journey, we don't start off at that place of recognizing our personal power, our personal sense, our real connection to universal love energy. We don't start there. At least if you do, believe me, there's going to be lots of other things you're going to look at to make it complete and make it, I'm going to say, equitable every day, no matter what, no matter how you feel, no matter what, you know, that deep knowingness that all is connected, that all is one, and you're important. That's the other element I have run into several times. Maybe it's Christmas time coming up. People are separated from families. We just found that we're here because of all the floods and everything, there are roadways. So people can't really go from our lower mainland area into the innerland where I live east at all, basically. I believe you can fly or catch, I think there is a bus. I'm looking into it. But anyway, it's like, what we have, so we have to deal with these emotions more, and more emotions are out there at this time of the year. Now it also is coming into the darkest time of the year. I mean, we're not quite there at solstice yet, but it's coming. And so I know in my place by around just after 4 o'clock, it's getting dark. Pretty dark. By 4:30, it's dark. And so when does it wake up at 7? It's maybe not quite light yet. It's a lot of dark. And dark we have, for those of us, we have to look at. And nobody really likes to sit down and look at the darkness. We just bury it. And that shows up in physical well-being, that shows up in mental well-being, but in particular, it shows up in emotional well-being. Now, I was a master of being able to hide and suppress and deny feelings. I grew up more in my head because that was safer. It was easier because I don't remember myself as really little too much, but I do know that I was feeling emotional and that got punished. And also as a person that even from a young child would look at things from a different perspective. Now that has played very well in my life, being able to create concepts that are not in the norm, like kind of living on the outside, you might say, because I would go, well, that doesn't quite work because of this or that. And no one wanted to hear me. No one wanted to hear me. And so this is why I come here and say things like, if you have an affirmation, look what's opposing it, because that's the real power of affirmations. When you clear that which is opposes, when you clear your stuck emotion, when you go inside and clear out those, what I call frozen inner children, which are stuck in a feeling from no matter what age there is. And so that you're able to move that out. When you get your energy realigned, when you clear a lot of anger, or when you clear your depression, or when you clear your sadness, your grief, whatever it is that it seems like you're stuck and you can't move it. Sometimes it just takes a different viewpoint to take a look and be able to clear the energy away. That's why there's healers. I do transformational healing, but there are many healers out there that do different kinds of work which allow you to clear away the shadows and bring light. And we need light. You know, my lights are on all the time. And it's just to allow the light in, just to allow that light to breathe from inside of us. We don't have to be out in the sunlight to know how light works, because we have a light inside of us. It's like a lantern which has a dynamo light that never ever extends. And when it extends, I think I'm saying that incorrectly. Anyway, it doesn't die. And when it does die, that's the body keeping itself going. When it does die, the soul goes on. And I have found a lot in what I'm hearing and seeing done is people are forgetting to talk about souls, about that we are more than our physical body, and that we have had more lives than just one. We've had many, some of us lots. I always say it's because I was a slow learner. I mean, you know, you've got to make a fun of this sometimes just to lighten it up. We don't want it too serious. We want to be able to see our lives in a sense of arranging, because it's amazing how many are there. How many new ways we can look at that, sending the light back to all those lives that we've had so that they're able to endure, so they're able to move through, so they can release their angers back there, so you don't have to be clearing everything here. There is an interconnectional web for you through your other lives, whether they're past, present, or future. Your essence, the soul of you that came to help you within this part of your journey, which is this life, because we're in this physical body at this time, just about ready to leave 2021 and move into 2022. Still got a few weeks to go. And in that time, there's a lot of emotion that goes on. We're coming into the solstice, which is a change of energy. We're coming, and I think there is also another one more. I'm not sure. Oh, gosh, I don't follow astrology stuff as much as my friends do. And but anyway, there's one more. Gosh, my brain's gone nuts on me. Anyway, Christmas is coming. Then we get the new year. So there's emotional things happening. And if you're going to be emotional at any particular time of the year, this is often the one that brings it about. And this is where you get to use it as an opportunity to see what rises out of your subconscious. And that's going to bring me a little talk about auras, because we cannot look at energy and being in a community and being in a society without looking at where your aura is. Now, your aura is your energy extension. In reality, it shows and demonstrates where you are emotionally, mostly. But most people's auras, as far as I'm concerned, are way too big. And therefore, not only are they consolidated within themselves, they're picking up everybody else's. And so many people that I deal with, the first thing we have to address is to get your aura back in shape. Clean it up, get it tighter, get it aware. Because if you've been raised in a family, turn my phone off, I should have done that before, sorry about that, guys. If you've been raised in an environment where you as a child did not feel safe, you tend to have a big aura, because it seems as though we think when we're little, well, if I feel it out, I'll know where to go hide, or I'll know when to get lost, or whatever it is you're going to do. Usually doesn't work, but sometimes maybe it did. So consequently, you feel that that's the way to do it. Now, the key here is that you need to make sure that that aura is cleaned out of all the old ties to different things. And also people hook into them, you hook into them, and bring it closer so that you're able to be aware of who you are. Now, you're coming into this very, very important time, this whole Christmas period of time. And I know I was at the post office yesterday mailing something. I went to what I thought was being helpful, and this lady snarled at me. I was like, and for a moment, it was very interesting. I felt this moment of rage because it was totally misinterpreted. And I was very happy about that, because I was angry for this person's response. And I was just happy. I acknowledged that I felt angry, which usually means you feel helpless, which was true. I was being kind of accused. I don't know what it was a funny moment. Both two people going to the door at the one time. I went and I made a comment that because we were doing the same thing, looking to see how long the queue was in the post office. And I had my hand on the door handle, and she just said, I was here first, and such an aggressive tone. And I said, sure, I was just going to hold the door for you, which was true, actually, I was. And because I always believe in being polite. But that little hint of anger that came up, I was very happy, because I was aware of it right away. I didn't do anything about it. I just breathed it out, let it go, and went into the post office, which was high. By the time we got inside that little bit, there was hardly anybody in there. And a lot of my concern was because I've had trouble standing without support for a wee while. But I was fine. I've been feeling much better the last couple of days. And so I was fine. Everything went well. But it was interesting. I was able to feel the feeling in the moment, breathe it out. It was gone. And it's something I could use today to remind you, you're going to feel frustrated. You're going to feel maybe angry or sad. There's the same flip side to the same coin. And so it's like knowing that you are in a time period to self-explore. You yourself are a beautiful light. You want your light to shine. Now, some of us don't get out too much to see ourselves radiating in the world as we walk along or do some certain things. But you can radiate from wherever, because you have a mind that can travel the whole galaxy if it needs to. But when you come back, when you want to be affirming who you are and know that it's real for you, you want to have your aura intact, not carrying everybody else's emotions. How many times do you have a feeling that you don't know where it's come from? And often it's not yours, but you carry it. Best example of this is going, usually when our malls were packed, not so much now, but you would come home and you'd feel funny, or you'd feel angry or agitated. And that's because your aura had picked up all this stuff. Crowds, which most of us do not experience too much these days, is really easy, not a greatest thing for people who are, so we call ourselves empaths. Being an empath is not an excuse. It is not an excuse for having and allowing your auras to be contaminated. Would you drink contaminated water if you knew? No. And your aura is like that, because your aura is a reflection into you of how you feel and what's happening and what's going. So learning how to clear your aura and how to stay grounded, how to be aware of where your essence are, makes it easier then for you to have your mental working effectively. Not one part of us is any more separated than the other. For instance, we need our emotional and our mental working together. We need them balanced. We need them acknowledging. Mental likes to dominate in our society. This is how it is. This is how it's supposed to be. Well, the emotion has always been, this is an emotional planet. You're going to have to work with feelings, and those that suppress and those that have no feelings, and we know quite a few of those that are in command of our world right now. It's like feelings don't really exist. It's all, what, how to do this, do that, do the other. And not about how it feels to do this, that, or the other. So it's really about creating balance, to be in your full potential, to be in your full awareness and full creation. I think that's all I have to say today. And that is about affirmations. Make sure you catch those thoughts that don't support what you're saying to yourself. I love me is really important. And I like myself. Anything that you can think of that you need strengthening. I am important, because to you, you are. Because if you're not important, how are you going to dictate or work at, probably not the best word to say, how are you going to operate in your world really well? But we do have to dictate our environment, like to make sure we're comfortable, make sure the body is comfortable, that we're getting what we need for our body. So I'll just get a little self-correction in there, because I thought, I should have said that. That would be, and even that, I shouldn't. Why do I think that? Why shouldn't I have said that? You see, that we have a lot, and even now, I know at my age, I'm still self-correcting often. I call them freeze, evaporate, replace the thoughts that I do not feel support where I want to be or who I want to be in any given moment. So just remember starting again on that little affirmations, make sure that whatever you say, you're claiming your own power, your own essence, your own love, and releasing anything that does not support that. Keeping your aura in, keeping it clean. Keeping aware of your feelings, and name them if you can, and breathe them out. And most of all, make sure that your mind is thinking how you want to be, what you want to do, where you want to end up, because that's the framework of your life. And I want you to have a great framework. So have a great week, and I'll be back next Wednesday. Blessings. Thank you very, very much.
That was brilliant.